Good morning and welcome to Stretford, Paddock. This is the news. We're going to be looking at Donny Van De Beek, his little beef with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as you can see there. Look, that's him in full beef mode. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be looking at the reaction to last night's game as well. But Donny Van De Beek has been the main talking point, and we will get to that very shortly. Let me know in the comments before we start going here what you make of the Donny situation, because it seems to be this ongoing sort of trundling on affair that sort of raises its head every so often. This is the first time I would say it's been a real reaction from Donny that we've seen, rather than I wouldn't say manufactured, but sort of outside opinion has been the main talking point in the past. Whereas we've kind of got the first glimpse here that Donny Van De Beek isn't happy with his role at Manchester United. We will come to that in just a minute. Before we do, United, of course, won 2-1 against Villarreal last night. Cheers. A little sip of coffee there. And the reaction to the game was a mixed one. You could see from Ole's quotes after the game. He said, it's a massive result for the team and the spirit of the team as well. We gave ourselves a difficult job with this sending off in the last game. So to get 3 points at home was important. We need to go and get 10 or maybe 12 to get through. He also said that Villarreal attacked well, that they counter-attacked well, that they transitioned very well and caused us a lot of problems. When he was asked to sort of summarise the game, we've just won a game at home against Villarreal, and he summarised it basically by saying, we were a bit shit then, weren't we? So it clearly wasn't the best game for Manchester United. It was a shocking game, to be honest. United were poor. I think anyone who watched that could see that it was a terrible game for Manchester United, but getting the win is the most important thing. Ole went on to say that Ronaldo's done that so many times in terms of scoring those decisive goals. When you saw him against Ireland, he missed a penalty early, didn't touch the ball more or less, then scored two great headers in the last 2 minutes, which of course he did just after signing for United. That was that weekend, wasn't it? He went in the international break, scored two brilliant headers to win the game for Portugal in that World Cup qualifier. Another point he made about Ronaldo, he said, I've seen him all day today, the way he's built himself up for this game, how focused he's been, and when he gets that one chance, it's a goal. It's interesting that I wonder what he's been doing. Now, we already know he don't do dessert. We get that, sure. The apple crumble is left untouched, which if I was the chef at Manchester United, I'd be really upset about. This crumble recipe that's been handed down generation to generation. Lee Grant loves it. Phil Jones loves it. Jadon Sancho, he's only been here for a few months and he loves it. All of a sudden we can't make that anymore because Ronaldo comes in. He's not having apple crumble, so no one else is allowed it. Selfish, if anything. But interesting the way he says, the way he's built himself up for this game. I wonder, behind the scenes, that's that sort of thing you talk about, you hear about with Ronaldo, what he brings to the team, this level of discipline, this level of professionalism that comes with him that is just on another level to anyone else. We were talking before we went live, whether you think Ronaldo ever has a cheat day. Because his body fat has got to be about 5%, and it has been for about 20 years. So I wonder if he ever has a Chinese. Do you think, let me know in the comments before we move on, because it's about to get pretty heavy with this Donny stuff. Do you think Cristiano Ronaldo has ever had a Chinese takeaway? If you went up to him and said, oh, crispy chili beef's good, isn't it? I reckon he'd go, what are you on about? What's that? I've never heard of it. I don't think he's ever had deep fried salt and pepper chicken. Sad, really. But it's good that he's bringing that mentality to Manchester United. Like we said, we've seen him all day today. The way he's built himself up for this game, how focused he's been, and when he gets that one chance, it's a goal. It was a poor game for Manchester United yesterday. Hopefully, we can use that game as a catalyst for bigger things. It's not going to be the one where you go, they turned their form around that night because the form was terrible. The performance was terrible. But if it can be the start of something, because the form we had been in was absolutely atrocious after the Newcastle game. Hopefully, it can be the start of something else. Solskjaer also said, I won't sleep well this obviously last night because of the adrenaline, but you are on to the Everton game already. And then Ronaldo went on to say, this is why I came back. I miss this club a lot. I have history with this club, and I want to do it again. Not only for me, but to push the team. Again, going back to that mentality side, what he brings that isn't just on the pitch. Ronaldo trying to win games for Manchester United and for the rest of the team as well. He said also, Ronaldo, if we didn't get the points yesterday, it would be tough if we didn't get the points today, it would be tough to go through to the next stage. But now everything is possible. Everything is open, and we'll believe we'll go through. We're on 3 points after 2 games. It's not great, but we're more than in a position where we can turn that into usually 9 points gets you through. 10 points, almost always. 12 points you through. So we've got 4 games to basically get 9 points. You'd fancy your chances, especially after that turnaround. What we have to do is improve the performances, because last night was not good enough. People in the comments, let me know what you think to the reaction to last night's game. AP Mac says De Gea is back to being the cat. That's an interesting point, actually. If it weren't for COVID, we may never have seen this David De Gea at Manchester United, because I think Dean Henderson was set to be United's number 1 this season. He's got COVID in the summer. He's come back and he seems to have some sort of lingering effects. It's allowed David De Gea to come back in, cement himself as number 1, and be, as far as I'm concerned, back to his best, which I don't think anyone ever thought was going to happen after essentially 2.5 seasons of not being particularly good at all. He's now back to the David De Gea we know and love and remember from the sort of middle part of the last decade. It's an astonishing turnaround from De Gea, and one that, to be honest, I don't think I've seen a player drop off by the percentage amount that he did and then go back to it for the time that they were dropped off. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people have six weeks off. They'll have 6 months where they're not so good. I don't think I've seen a player go from what was essentially a 10 out of 10 goalkeeper down to, you could argue 5 out of 10. When you look at the average goalkeepers, his shot save percentage was worse than most in the league. He was making blunder after blunder. He went from being one of the best in the world to being an average Premier League goalkeeper. He's now back in that sort of best in the world type form. And again, I'm not sure I've seen someone drop off for 2 years and then go back to where he is. So absolutely fair play to David De Gea. I wasn't sure he could do it. It's still early in the season, but I don't think he's even been this good for the 9 games or so that he's played. I don't think he's been this good for this much time since that 2018 World Cup. So it's brilliant for him to be back where he is at the minute. IQ1985 with a super chat. Thank you. Donny's beef was clearly towards Phelan. The video has shown that he's always spoken greatly about Ole. Maybe it's Phelan that's the issue. I don't think it was towards Phelan. Just because he throws his chewing gum down and it happens to be near where Mike Phelan stood, and it doesn't. To me, watching that video, he's not looking at Phelan overly. I'm not saying it isn't towards Phelan or that I know that it's not. I'm saying I don't think it is. There's nothing in that video that makes me think that's directed towards Mike Phelan over anyone else. Where he's throwing his chewing gum just happens to be in front of where he is. I don't think he's aiming for anyone, or the fact that it goes near Mike Phelan. He's not throwing it at Mike Phelan. He's not even looking at him. I think it's a general frustration with the fact that he's not come on, which we will come to in just a second. Koth Mike says, remember when we used to have Fletch and Park on the bench 85% of the time? There was never all this treated bad crap. Well, let's get on to that, because Donny Van De Beek last night was spotted. I mean, we see this a lot. It's not unusual to see a player pissed off either A, that they've been subbed off, or B, that they've not been subbed on. But this is the first real sort of public showing or outburst even from Donny Van De Beek that we've seen so far. I think we should have a couple pictures for anyone who's not seen it, a couple pictures of him. There you go. See, it's hard to see there, but he's thrown his chewing gum down there. Basically, he gets a little pat on the chest. You can see from his face he's pissed off, and then it culminates in him getting his chewing gum thrown on the floor. This is when United are making that second round of subs. I believe it was Matic or was it Fred and Cavani that came on? I think it was. Let me know what you think to this, first of all, because to me, I'm not mad at this. I don't mind a player being mad at not coming on. I don't mind a player that goes, I want to be on that pitch, we're not playing well, I think I can make a difference, I'm fucking pissed off. I don't mind that. I don't even mind if he thinks, you know what, I'm not getting the game time, maybe this move wasn't for me. I'm not saying I think he should leave. I'm saying if he thinks that, I can understand that. What I can't understand is people on Twitter, every single time Donny Van De Beek doesn't play for Man United, hashtagging free Donny, this is a disgrace, it's bullying at this point, what Ole's doing is a joke, Donny Van De Beek deserves to play. Well, first of all, he played 36 games for United last season, which isn't a ton. And a lot of those, the minutes, do not reflect that amount of appearances. Sorry, he played 1,400 minutes, which is essentially 15 or so full games worth of games for Manchester United, and that's bit part. But he got 1 goal and 2 assists in that time, in 15 games worth of minutes, which, again, it's hard to come in and just do that, straight off the bat because, yes, he's got 15 games worth of minutes, but they don't, if they're coming in 85 minutes to 90th minute, you can't always affect the game. Jesse Lingard this season has played, let's have a look. What's Jesse Lingard played this season? If you're looking at the effects of a substitute coming in, and I know they play in a slightly different position. Jesse Lingard's more forward than Donny is, but they, generally they both occupy sort of attacking midfield positions. Jesse Lingard this season has got 2 goals and 1 assist already in 136 minutes. Not that Donny Van De Beek performances and his whole career gets summarised by how many goals and assists he scored, but he's made a lot of appearances and not done that much with it. Yes, he hasn't played that many minutes, but how annoyed can he be that he's not playing games? How can you call Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a bully for not playing someone that isn't turning their minutes into output? And he's not been terrible, and he wasn't terrible against West Ham when we lost in the Carabao Cup, and he wasn't terrible against Young Boys when he got took off at half-time. But when's the last time he played a game and you went, fucking hell, who's that? And I think this idea that, yes, he can be pissed off, even if he wants to leave, fine. And it's a shame that it's working out the way it is, because I would have liked him to have played more. I would have liked him to have been a bigger part of the team. But people who are sat at home saying this is bullying, Ollie's a disgrace, you've got to play him, why? There are plenty of players, and it's a great point that someone made before about Fletcher and Park being on the bench, John O'Shea being on the bench. These players that would be on the bench constantly for Manchester United, playing important time, playing big games, play at important times, playing the times when you need them. There was never this thing of Fergie's bullying him. Fergie's bullying him. It's a disgrace. You're wasting John O'Shea's career. And also, talking about wasting his career, look at someone like Memphis Depay at United. Sat on the bench for a large part of 2 seasons. Then goes to Lyon, does all right. Now he's starting up front for Barcelona. So when you're a young player who you don't play every minute for a season, your career isn't gone. This isn't some career. It's not like if he stays for 5 years and doesn't play, fine. Maybe you can say we've ruined his career. He's been at United for 1 year and 2 months. How can you possibly say that his career is being ruined by anyone? Klebs says, who's a member of the first team for 2 months, thank you very much, said, who wouldn't be pissed off in a big game watching Fred gone before him? Completely agree. It's not that I'm bothered about. I think Donny's reaction genuinely is fine. I don't mind a player being mad. It's good. It's because you're frustrated you're not playing, you want to play for Manchester United, go for it. Happy with that. Fergal McClements, want to say thanks, Joe. You're welcome. Don't know what for, but you're welcome. It's getting frustrating in the Ollie in versus Ollie out has been taking the nuance out of analysis. I like Ollie, but I have questions, and I and this channel try to discuss this. It's not binary. I completely agree with you. Abhishek says there's always some shtick or stick to beat United around with. Yeah, exactly. Now it's that we're ruining this lad's career. Who, let's not forget, when Donny Van De Beek came to Manchester United, assuming he had some choice in the matter, which maybe he didn't, but I would like to think he did, he knew he was joining a team that had Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in it. They didn't come in after him. He knew they were already there. He knew he had to contend, most likely, with getting those 2 out of the team before he could play. Maybe he thought Pogba was leaving. Maybe he was even sold the move on the idea that Pogba was leaving. But he joined a team with Paul Pogba and Donny Van De Beek and Bruno Fernandes in it. So the fact that he's not playing every week is frustrating, of course, annoying, of course. Even if he's fuming, I get that. In fact, I welcome that. But to say that he's being bullied or that there's some unfair treatment going on here, like I saw people on Twitter saying Ole's doing it on purpose to try and wind him up because he didn't want the signing, so he's trying to prove it to the board that if you make a signing that I don't want, I'm going to ruin their career. It's an absolute farce. It's an absolute farce. Let us know what you think in the comments. Someone saying Donny was told he'd be part of the first team. He is part of the first team. He's played 3 times this season. He's not. You can't say he's not part of the first team. If you're like Juan Mata, maybe you can say that, or someone who's gone out on loan, you can maybe say you're not a part of the first team. Donny Van De Beek is a part of the first team squad. He started the last Champions League game against Young Boys. He started in the Carabao Cup last week against West Ham. He's not playing. He's not the most integral part of the squad, but he is part of the first team. The first team is a setup of players. You would say Sancho's a part of the first team. He didn't start the weekend. Interesting. Right, that is going to be all from us this morning. It's just one of those ones that's going to rage on, isn't it? When he doesn't play, it's going to be, all his fault is ruining his career. When he does play, it's going to be, look how good he was, even though, what did he do? I'm not sure. People acting like Donny and Jude Bellingham are on the same level. He's been used as a rotation player. It's a joke. Donny was a star at Ajax. Go watch videos. I've seen Donny Van De Beek at Ajax. I mean, obviously, I haven't seen every game of him. I haven't watched, 150 Ajax games. But I know what Donny Van De Beek did at Ajax. I know he's a good player. There's a difference between Ajax and Manchester United, first of all. And secondly, like I said, he knew he was joining a team with Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes in it. And to play in that team, you have to get in ahead of one of them too. So, where is this? Where does this all work out? This equation doesn't make sense to me. De Soccer says Cavani moves more, him up front, Ronaldo left. I think we might see a bit more of that, to be honest. I think that was a good move by Ole, bringing on Cavani, pushing Ronaldo out to that wing position and playing Cavani through the middle. But yeah, the comments are kicking off here. Hamish Morrison says, I don't think Donny was a smart purchase considering Ole won't use him when Bruno is in his position. Again, though, you have to remember what the situation was when we bought Donny Van De Beek. He was certainly... Jesse Lingard wasn't on the pecking order at this point. This was last summer. Jesse Lingard had basically not played for 12 months. Remember, he came on against Leicester and scored a goal toward the end of the season, or the last game of the season. But Jesse Lingard looked like he was out of the club when Donny Van De Beek arrived. So that was a player that he was coming in ahead of. Then Jesse Lingard goes on loan, goes to West Ham last season, tears it up, and is now seemingly maybe even ahead of Donny Van De Beek. Certainly in terms of coming on as an impact sub. So the time looked like Paul Pogba was leaving, looked like Jesse Lingard was leaving. They've both revamped their careers. Jesse Lingard especially. Maybe even Donny, if Donny is a long-term plan for Ole, maybe even could go out on loan. But to me, I think having good players on the bench isn't a problem. And obviously keeping people happy, that's a difficult matter, a different matter. But I think it's unfair to say that, Ole's purposely or even by accident ruining someone's career when, he played 36 games last season and he's only been here for a year. Anyway, that is going to be all from me. Thank you very much. Joey D. Don, before we go, sounds like you're defending Ole's decision-making. Ole's got it wrong with players. I'm worried for Sancho. I don't know where he's got it wrong. And I think Sancho's played about 6 games for United this season. So I don't know what the problem is there. Right, that's going to be all. No more comments. Thank you very much for your comments, though. Get in the comments as well and let me know what you think of this Donny Ole beef. Are you annoyed that Donny's thrown his chewing gum down, nearly hitting the assistant manager? Or do you think, fair enough, you're pissed off, you want to come on, you want to get minutes, you're not getting them? Do you blame Ole? Do you blame Donny? Is there someone else to blame here? Or is it all just part of football? A lad comes in who's younger, less experienced, not as proven as the players who are in front of him, and he's not getting many minutes because of it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you very much for joining us. This has been Stretford Paddock. We'll see you in a bit.